I don't think people fully realize how much our everyday lives have changed because of the cost of living. It's not just one thing anymore, it's everything. Rent costs too much, groceries cost too much, restaurants cost too much, fast food costs too much, transportation costs too much, insurance costs too much, clothes cost too much, entertainment costs too much. Even grabbing a cup of coffee or ordering a pizza can make you stop and think about whether you really need it. And that's where I think something has fundamentally changed. People aren't just complaining about prices anymore. People are starting to opt out. I see people looking at things they used to buy without thinking and simply saying, forget it. Going out tonight? Forget it. Ordering food? Forget it. Buying new clothes? Forget it. Taking an Uber somewhere? Forget it. Too much. Going to a concert? Forget it. People are learning how to live without things they once considered normal. And businesses should probably be paying attention to that. Because there is a limit to how much you can charge ordinary people before ordinary people simply stop participating. For years, it felt like every company discovered another way to squeeze a few more dollars out of us. Raise the price. Shrink the portion. Add a fee. Create another subscription. Charge for delivery. Charge a service fee. Charge for something that used to be included. Then ask for a tip on top of everything. Eventually, people look at the final price and say, I don't want it that badly. That sentence could become a serious problem for the economy. Because most businesses depend on people wanting things. They depend on us walking through the door. They depend on us upgrading our phones, ordering dinner, buying clothes, taking vacations, decorating our homes, going to movies, grabbing drinks, buying concert tickets, and spending money simply because we feel like enjoying ourselves. But what happens when millions of people stop feeling like spending? What happens when everybody starts cutting back at the same time? You can already feel the mentality changing. People are cooking at home. They're keeping their old phones longer. They're wearing the clothes they already own. They're canceling subscriptions. They're skipping restaurants. They're reconsidering vacations. They're looking for free entertainment. They're staying home. And some of that might actually be good for people financially. But there is something deeper happening too. People are becoming exhausted with being constantly asked for money. Everywhere you turn, somebody wants another payment. You wake up and there are bills. You leave the house and there are expenses. You get hungry and there are expenses. You try to entertain yourself and there are expenses. You try to get somewhere and there are expenses. Sometimes it feels like simply existing in modern America requires constantly pulling out your wallet. That's why I don't think this is only about inflation. It's psychological. People are starting to associate spending money with stress. You don't look at something and think, that would be nice. You immediately think, how much is that going to cost me? That changes the way people experience life. A night out becomes a calculation. Dinner becomes a calculation. Transportation becomes a calculation. Even having fun becomes a calculation. And eventually you get tired of calculating. You just stay home. That's the part nobody seems to talk about enough. When everything becomes too expensive, people don't necessarily find more money. Sometimes they simply stop buying things. And once people discover that they can live without something, getting them to come back might be harder than businesses expect. Maybe I don't need restaurant delivery. Maybe I don't need another streaming service. Maybe I don't need a new pair of sneakers. Maybe I don't need an upgrade to my phone. Maybe I don't need to go shopping this weekend. Maybe I don't need to spend money every time I'm bored. That's a dangerous word for an economy built around consumption. Maybe I don't need it. Because once enough people start thinking that way, the entire culture changes. For decades, Americans were encouraged to consume. Buy more. Upgrade. Replace. Go somewhere. Treat yourself. Experience something. But now the price of participating in that lifestyle has gotten so high that people are discovering another option. Do nothing. Stay home. Keep what you already have. Cook what you already bought. Watch something you've already paid for. Walk instead of paying for transportation when possible. Find something free to do. And save whatever money you have left, because tomorrow something else is probably going to cost more. That's where I think we are. People haven't suddenly become boring. People haven't suddenly stopped wanting things. They've become tired of feeling ripped off. There's a difference. When somebody looks at a $20 lunch and walks away, that doesn't necessarily mean they don't want lunch. It means the price finally crossed the line. And I think more prices are crossing that line every day. Eventually, businesses are going to have to decide what they want. Higher prices from fewer customers, or reasonable prices that ordinary people can actually afford. Because you can only squeeze people for so long. At some point, there's nothing left to squeeze. And when that happens, people don't necessarily protest. They don't necessarily complain. They don't necessarily announce anything. They simply stop showing up. And I think that's exactly what we're beginning to see.